Belgium for his statement, and I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would like to thank Nikolai Mladenov for his substantive report on the situation in the Middle East and the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. Today, when the regions of the Middle East and North Africa continue to be torn apart by serious conflicts in Syria, Yemen, and Libya, the lack of progress in finding a solution to the Palestinian question is of serious concern. We always say that the existing status quo is not viable. It just strengthens the negative trends which push further away the prospects of attaining peace right at the heart of the Middle East. But today, we do not even see the status quo. We see a dangerous deterioration of the situation, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Mladenov. As a result, and this has been confirmed by the latest report of the Special Coordinator, parties are expanding their unilateral activities which merely exacerbate the existing problems. Israel's settlement activities is gaining pace. There is ongoing provocative rhetoric. There are increasing number of reports of violent incidents. We would urge both the Palestinians and the Israelis to refrain from aggressive actions. We categorically condemn terrorist acts. We confirm the unacceptable nature of the arbitrary use of force and strikes against civilians. A solution to the existing situation can only be found by rebooting the political process, by focusing on a swift resumption of direct Palestinian and Israeli negotiations. These must be on a broadly recognized international legal basis, including the relevant Security Council resolutions, the Madrid Principles, the Arab Peace Initiative, and the roadmap of the Middle East Quartet of International Mediators on Middle East Settlement. Only by achieving a two-state settlement, which presupposes the peaceful and secure coexistence of two states, Palestine and Israel, then can the crisis be overcome and conditions can be created to more steadfastly move towards a long-term peace. We would like to point out that the overwhelming majority of member states will not tolerate any attempts to revise this basis to Middle East settlement. Once again, this was confirmed during the vote in the General Assembly in December last year. We are firmly convinced that any actions and proposals that are not the outcome of Palestinian-Israeli negotiations are doomed to failure. It is not possible to solve so-called final status issues without including Palestinians and Israelis themselves. It is not possible either to find a long-term stabilization in the Middle East without finding a lasting and just solution to the Palestinian issue. Russia will continue to work to revive the positive dynamic in the Israeli-Palestinian dossier. Our proposal to provide Russia as a forum for personal meetings between the Palestinian and Israeli leaders still stands. We're convinced that the Middle East Quartet still has potential as a unique mediation format which has been approved by Security Council resolutions. We're in favour of stepping up work of this mechanism and stepping up regular and fruitful cooperation between the League of Arab States, all regional and world players who are in a position to make a contribution to overcoming the deadlock in Palestinian and Israeli settlement. We will continue to make efforts to promote the rebuilding of unity within Palestinian ranks. The leadership of Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs over recent weeks has held a number of contacts with representatives of different Palestinian factions. We trust that the Palestinians will take new steps to find a compromise in order to bring an end to division and to reunify the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. We note and value the efforts of Cairo and Amman here. We cannot fail to draw attention to the dedicated work of humanitarian staff in Palestine. We note the important work carried out by the UN and in particular UNRWA in the occupied Palestinian territories and in refugee camps. Russia also helps our Palestinian friends through contributions to UNRWA and bilaterally. We must also ensure that a situation whereby the Palestinians are in a situation whereby de facto they have nothing to lose is not there. It would fuel radicalism and inflame a situation in Palestinian territories and even further beyond that. Mr. President, radicalism, there is quite enough of radicalism in the Middle East. In order to combat this threat, there is a real need for daily coordinated work of the entire international community. On numerous occasions, the Russian representatives have stated their position, including at the 25th of June last year meeting of the Security Council on a comprehensive review of the situation in the Middle East and North Africa, stating that there needs to be collective steps taken to comprehensively improve the situation in the region. There's a need to pool our efforts in the Palestinian-Israeli track and also in other areas, including Syria, Yemen, and Libya. It's important not to lose support for the authorities in Iraq in improving and stabilizing the situation in that country. We need to refrain from violating the sovereignty of Syria and involve joint work on finding a political solution and reintegrate Syria into the Arab family. This process needs to be supported and not hampered in any way. We would like once again to draw attention to our blueprint to develop trust in the Gulf, which would include a overall military and regional architecture in the region. We heard today assurances from several delegations that the forthcoming conference in Warsaw it does not have just one country aspect to it. But I would like to believe in that, but I'd like to put a question. Why has that conference not invited Iran, which is one of the most significant and large countries in the region? Attempts to create some kind of military alliances in the region, holding different conferences and focusing on having a simplified, unilateral approach to the region that is clearly linked just to Iran is counterproductive and just pushes further away the prospects of finding a genuine security architecture for the region. And how can it be genuine? How can we have a genuine architecture without solving the Palestinian issue? Ultimately, it is security which is the real priority of the policies of all countries in the region. We believe that finding something that is acceptable for all, perhaps using a Helsinki process, as the Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, pointed out several times, is possible. We fully support his efforts to pushing forward this particular initiative. Thank you very much indeed.
Doy la gracia al representante.
I thank the representative